Alright, welcome back to Smith's Customs. You got Jacob here. Alright, we're on the passenger side of the old Project Black Max here, and I'm going to start buttoning up some of these brackets and everything. As you can see, I got the main bracket in front that holds the alternator, the tensioner, and the two idlers. We're going to go ahead and get that tightened down. Once that's tight, then we'll go ahead and start working on putting the pulleys back on. I'm just trying to get this thing kind of buttoned up and get ready to where we can put coolant in this and hopefully let it run for a little bit and see if it moves and all that good stuff. I know we do have an exhaust issue we're going to have to address. Well, there's three of them. I know there's a fourth one. At least I think there was. No, there's the two studs and the one bolt. That's correct. Alright, go ahead and get these tightened down. Now, once I do get done with these videos, I'll break down what I put into this thing as far as parts and how much we have in it total and what we paid for the truck, so we can actually see if it was worth all this headache to buy this thing not running. Alright, that bracket's tight. Make sure everything's in place. Yep, everything's in place down there. I got two 12s there I gotta go ahead and tighten up. And again, don't mind the sniffles. Just not feeling 100% right now, but that's okay. Okay. 12. Go ahead and tighten these two up here. Okay, that's in place. Now we can put our tensioner and our idlers back on here. Let me grab those. Oh, they're on a socket. We'll do that one right away. Okay, there's our two idlers. Now our tensioner. Which I can hear some grit in some of these bearings. These will be getting replaced. But for current, I just want to see if the truck moves. So we're going to start by putting the idlers in place. As long as this thing runs and moves, it's going to be getting a lot more love. thought I seen a damp spot in the fuel line there. It wasn't. It was just my imagination. It's probably one of the 50 times I had this thing apart. Now once I get these on and get them tight, I will spin them so you can hear them. They're not the best sounding. You can definitely tell there's some grit in those bearings there. There's that one, and I'm gonna have to grab a short weld for the other one. Okay, there's that. Now we're gonna go ahead and put this tensioner assembly back in there. Now when you're putting this in, make sure, if you've never done it before, there's actually a peg on the back of this thing that has to line up in order for it to be in the right place. Now I'm questioning if I have it in the right place or not. Yes, I do. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and run that center bolt down on that tensioner. Then we'll go ahead and tighten that up, and then I'll spin these over so you guys can hear how great they sound. And you can see why I'm going to be replacing them. Alright, we'll give these a spin. You can hear the grit in that one. You can hear the grit in that one. You can hear how gritty that one sounds. That's the reason we're going to be replacing those. I'm gonna grab this alternator. We're going to set this alternator in place. We'll give this a spin so you can hear this. No noise. Nice and quiet. I'm going to pop this hose back out real quick, just so I can slide this down underneath this hose. Grab one of our alternator bolts, put it in the top here. Get that through, get that started. Then we'll start on the bottom, the next one. Oops, I think I went too far with it. Okay, we'll get the other bolt. Get that started in there. There we go. It's gonna be weird hearing this thing run without all these leaks up top with all the piping on there. It's definitely gonna be different. It's actually kind of different being able to come out and start it at all. Because prior to us starting it, I never heard this thing run, so. Alright. We're gonna go ahead and tighten down this alternator. Using my nice little handy dandy flex ratchet here. Close ratio flex handle. I really enjoy this one. It's kind of like my favorite one to grab when it comes to grabbing a ratchet. If I'd have enough room, I like to use this one. Plus, it makes it a lot easier to snap off bolts when you have more torque and you're tightening them down. You get a little extra on there. It makes it a lot more fun when you can break them off with ease. I think this thing's drilling to go to China or something, as long as it is. But we gotta be getting close. There it is. Now I did notice this top one's not tightening up too well. So somewhere along the lines, somebody stripped this housing out, which honestly, with it being on the top, it's a real easy solution. You have easy access to the back of the bolt here. Very easily just put a nut on the back to make sure it's staying tight. Pretty quick, simple. Nothing too difficult about that. We're going to go ahead and pop this hose back in place in the retainer now. And I have this line right here, which is one of our coolant lines going to our heater core. I'm going to pop that back over the stud over here on the front of that bracket. Get that put back in place. And that's a nice little 12mm nut here. We're going to get that put on there. Now I will say there is a thief somewhere in this garage, because I'm still missing a 13mm socket deep well. No, short well, I'm sorry. Short well 13mm. And for the life of me, I figured I would come across it as I go along with this project, and I still haven't found it yet. So I have some ideas for the future of this channel. If my following starts getting bigger, as things progress, we're going to be going into different projects. Probably somewhere down the line, I'll just start going and buying stuff out of fields or wherever I can drag it out of. Anything that hasn't run in a very long time. And we'll just be going through, you know, getting it up, getting it running, what it's going to take, what to expect. For example, today I had to go into town, which might be a big shock for some of you guys, but I live out in the middle of nowhere in the sticks. So I had to go into town to get some stuff. And when I was going into town, it's like the third time I've drove by it. There's a old 80s square body Chevy sitting along at a old farm. They're actually doing some construction work, ripping everything down, doing demolition work over there. So that's probably one of the things along the way. One of these days I'm going to see somebody out there and I'm going to stop and see if we can strike a deal on the old square body. It's been sitting in the weeds for years. And well, I think that'd be a good project for us to bring back to life. All right, we have this other bracket here. This is a wire bracket, just holds our wires in place. This goes on top of the valve cover on the passenger side. I'm gonna go ahead and run that guy back in there. I apologize that some of this is probably hard to see at some points. I was actually speaking with somebody the other day, and they were telling me about this special pair of glasses that you can get, which would work really nice because I'm always wearing my sunglasses. But they said you can get these glasses, and the glasses will actually show you guys my view, what I'm looking at as I'm doing it, which I think is going to be an investment for me in the future. But I also believe I need to figure out more about editing and things like that also before I go down that road too. Alright, I can see one thing I did here. I actually pinched off one of the fuel lines. Got caught up underneath this bracket. Not the one I'm putting on, but the one I put on previously. So I'm gonna have to loosen that bracket back up and get that fuel line out of the way. It's just a return line off one of the injectors. But I don't like the way that's routed. Sometimes that's a problem with putting things together and you're just trying to see if they run. So you put stuff on there that normally goes in second, but you put it in first because you want to see if it's even going to run before you go putting everything all back together. Then you end up having to redo some stuff along the way. Okay. There's that. So we're going to pop this bracket back off here real quick. I want to get the pressure off that fuel line. That being said, we're going to go ahead and pull that return line off, and I'm going to move it to the other side of the bracket. Once we do that, we'll throw these bolts back in, and then that'll be it on this video for tonight. We'll be coming back in with more. Alright, there we go. Got that out of there. Alright, now Now we're going to put these back in place here. We'll tighten these back down. Okay, now that those are tight, now I'll go ahead and I'll try to finagle these wires out of the way a little bit here. Route that fuel line a little different. Come right up over the top of that bracket now. And just put that thing right back on. Way better. I like the way that looks way better. All right. We're going to call that a wrap on this video. And if you're following along, hey, I appreciate the support. Please like, subscribe, share. Like I said, these next couple videos, I think they're going to be pretty boring just on wrapping this up. I don't know, some people may find it interesting and useful, and I hope. But we get done with these couple, get this thing back together, we'll be getting back to hopefully some good stuff, some good content, different things we can do. Right now, we're just working on getting this thing back in one piece and movable, hopefully. But that's it on this video. Well, we'll catch you guys on the next one.